Hello students, today we will be doing the detailed description of the chapter Feast of the Dead. I have already sent you the summary which you must have heard. So let us do a paragraph wise description. January changed the color of the air. The world seemed grimmer is sadder, and the people went out only for work. There was nobody under the oak trees, in the courtyards of the mosques, and in the cool places where children gathered in the summer. The fountains were never completely deserted. Almost every day there would be someone to go there to fetch the day's water. So they are telling about Turkey. This is a small village in Turkey. It is January, it is very cold, and because it is so cold, people generally don't go out of their houses. So everywhere it is deserted, only on the water taps, okay, the water fountains from where people fill their water, only there you can find people going. That noon, the boy who had been to the fountain ran back to the street panting and told the first man he saw, Darshan Aga is dead. Okay, so that afternoon, the boy who had gone to the fountain to fill water came back running and told everyone Darshan Aga is dead. Darshan Aga, the water carrier, was a familiar figure on the street. He barely made both ends meet and lived with his wife and two children in a small house. His entire capital consisted of two water cans and a pole and a chain dangling from either end. Hoisting the pole on his shoulder, hooking the cans by their handles to the chains, he set out every morning. So Darshan Aga was the village water carrier. He would fill water from the fountain and deliver it to the families on the street. Okay, so he lived with his wife and he had two boys. And his entire property, he was very poor, his entire property consisted of only two water cans and a pole. Pole is like a stick which had chains on both ends to which he would attach the cans, in which then he would fill water and deliver. Water, anybody needs water, his voice would carry as far as the last house on the street. Those who needed water would call back, Darshan Aga, one trip or two trips or three trips. One trip meant two cans of water. Then Darshan Aga would climb up to the hill on the fountain, fill up the can, and he would go to and fro between the fountain and the houses all day long. He got three kurush. Kurush is the currency of Turkey. So he got three kurush for each trip. This way of earning was like digging a well with a needle. Okay, so the earning was very less. He would get very less money. It was as if he's digging the well with a needle. Okay, so much of effort and very little payment. If they had had to rely only on his earnings, it would have been impossible to feed four mouths. But thank God, his wife Gulnaz was called upon 3 or 4 times a week to wash clothes. She tried to help her husband earn just a little more, cheating, pathetic, harmless ways, using a can or two more of water so that her husband could earn few more than the three kurush. Now his wife Gulnaz, she would work as a washerwoman. So when she would wash clothes, she would spend extra amount of water. Okay, she would just throw away extra amount of water so that people would purchase more water from her husband. Now all this had ended, but now with the death of Darshan Aga, all this cheating and everything had ended. Darshan Aga had slipped, okay, while trying to stand up on the ice that had hardened during the previous night and hit his head on the stone bowl under the tap. So when Darshan Aga had gone to the fountain to fill water, he was standing on ice and suddenly his leg slipped, his head hit the bowl and he died on spot. When Gulnaz heard the news, she froze. She froze means she was shocked. What was she going to do now? It was not easy to be left with two children, one 9 years old and the other 6. How could she feed them only by washing clothes 2 or 3 times a week? She thought and thought but could not reach a decision. So now Gulnaz was very perplexed. She said, I have two children and I just wash clothes 2 or 3 times a week. How am I going to earn enough to feed the children? She was very sad, but she could not reach a decision of what to do. It is a tradition for the neighbors to send food for a day or two to the house where death has occurred. So in Turkey, you have a tradition in the Muslims that whenever there is a death in the house, the neighbors send food for that person because the family is in mourning. Okay? So the first meal that came to Gulnaz and her children was from the White House, where Raif Effendi, the wealthy businessman, lived. At noon on the other day, after Darshan Aga died, the maid is the servant from the White House appeared with a large tray. On it were dishes of noodles cooked in chicken broth. Chicken broth is chicken gravy. Some meat in a rich sauce, cheese rolls, and sweets. Okay, so first meal that came to Gulnaz house was from the wealthy neighbor, and he gave her many very tasty dishes to eat. To tell the truth, no one had thought of eating that day, but as soon as the cover was lifted from the tray, the aroma is the very beautiful smell of the food beckoned them, called them. So earlier they were in mourning. Okay, Gulnaz's husband had died, the children's father had died. They hadn't decided that they would be eating, but the smell of the food was so good that they sat and ate it. They gathered round the table, and maybe because they had never had such good food before, it tasted exceptionally delicious. The food was very delicious, very tasty. Having eaten once, they found it natural to sit around the table at supper time. Supper time is in the evening when you have your dinner. Okay, so that is supper time, and satisfy their hunger with the leftovers of their lunch. Okay, now since they had eaten at lunch and everything was so tasty, even in the evening they sat around the table and they ate whatever was left from the lunch. Another neighbor took care of the food for the next day. This went on for 3 or 4 days. None of the later meals were as tasty or as generous as the food from the White House, but they were all a great deal better than anything that was ever cooked in Gulnaz's pot. Okay, so similarly for the next 2-3 days, the neighbors kept on sending them meals, but none of the meals were as tasty as the meal from the White House. But since Gulnaz was so poor, she had never eaten so tasty meals, so they ate them all. If this could just have continued, Gulnaz and her children could easily have borne the sorrow to the end of their lives, but when the trays stopped coming and the coal they were buying from the store on the main street could not be bought anymore, they began to realize that their sorrow was unbearable. Now, in the author is saying that if this coming of food was continued, Gulnaz would have been very happy. But soon the food stopped coming because the 3-4 days were over, and then they realized that even the coal that they had no more money to buy the coal from the street. Now, without coal, they were very cold and they didn't even have food to eat. The first day the food stopped. They kept up their hopes till noon. So they kept hoping that no, by afternoon, by 12 o'clock, the food would come. Running to the door each time they heard a footstep outside. But it was only people going about their daily lives. Okay, so whenever they would hear footsteps, they would go outside. But there were people going on their work and no one would give them food. At supper time, so in the evening, they realized that no one was going to get them food, so they had to cook at home as they had done before. So whatever was there at home, they would now have to cook. They had got used to quite a different type of food during the past few days and found it difficult to adjust to the meager dishes Gulnaz cooked with hardly a trace of butter. Okay, so now these people had been eating very delicious food and they got used to it. So now when Gulnaz cooked food, okay, a very simple food without butter, no one liked it. They had no choice but to get used to it again. It was not long before they ran out of butter, flour, potatoes, and grain. But soon all the raw material in the house, all the butter, potatoes, everything finished. For the next few days, they ate whatever they found in the house: 2 onions, a clove of garlic, handful of beans, whatever they found in the cupboard. Finally, there came a day when all the pots, baskets, bottles, boxes, everything became empty. That day, for the first time, they went to bed without eating anything on an empty stomach. The next day was the same. By the next afternoon, the little boy had started crying with hunger. He was very hungry. He started crying. Gulnaz kept hoping someone would send for her to wash clothes, but people of the street thought that it would be inconsiderate to call her for work. Now Gulnaz was hoping that someone will call her for work, but people kept on thinking her husband has died. She is very sad, so we should not disturb her. So they didn't call her. The day after, no one in the household thought of getting up. So the next day they were all so weak, so hungry, they didn't even think of getting up from their beds. They all had visions of food. Visions as dreams. They kept on dreaming of food. The younger boy saw soft and fluffy bread. He saw soft and very spongy bread. The older boy saw sweets instead. If only he had them once more, he would eat them one by one, savoring each mouthful. So the older boy kept dreaming about sweets, mithai, and he said, if even if I had them once more, I would eat them one by one, and I would, you know, remember their taste of each mouthful. What a fool he had been to have eaten all his share at once. So now he was scolding himself that I was a fool that I ate all my sweets at once. I should have eaten them one by one and lasted them for many more days. Gulnaz lay in her bed listening to the murmurs of her children. So the children were murmuring because they were hungry, and Gulnaz was listening to it, tears flowing silently down her cheeks, and she was crying because she was not even able to give food to her children. Life went on in the street outside as before. A door closed. She knew it was the boy next door going to school. Footsteps sounded outside. This time it was Tehseen Effendi, the barber, walking down the street to open his shop. The next one was the clerk in the electric company, then the shoemaker, and then the breadman, who comes to the White House every day at the same time. The big baskets tied to both sides of his horse were full of bread. So people were going on their way to their work, and finally the breadman arrived. He had come to deliver bread to the White House. The creaking of the baskets could be heard from far away. It was the older boy who heard it and looked towards the younger brother. Gulnaz got up in the cold room and put a wrap is shawl. She put a shawl around her to go outside. She had decided to ask for 2 loaves of bread on credit. So she decided that she would ask for 2 pieces of bread on credit. Credit means loan, udhar pe. She could pay them when she got money from laundering. Laundering is from washing clothes. She opened the door and saw the baskets full to the brim, full to the top. Okay, the baskets were full of bread. Okay, they were fresh, spongy white bread. A beautiful smell went up her nose, and just as she was about to say something to the breadman, he shouted, "Giddy up!" to the horse. Giddy up is move ahead. And Gulnaz lost all her courage. No words came out from her mouth, and heavenly smelling food passed by the house, but she could not stretch her hand and take it. Okay, but now Gulnaz could not find the courage to ask bread, and all the bread went away from the house, and she could not take it. She came inside, but did not look into the fevered eyes of the sons, waiting hopefully. Okay, so when she came in the house, the sons were waiting. They were thinking mother is going to get bread, so she did not have the courage to look into their eyes. Not a word was spoken in the room. The boys simply looked at her empty hands and turned their eyes away. It was a long time later that the younger boy broke the silence. Mother, I cannot stand it anymore. Something is happening inside my tummy. Okay, so the younger boys, after some time, started crying that something is happening inside my tummy. I'm getting cramps. Don't worry, my sweet son. It is hunger. I feel it too. So mother said, don't worry. Nothing is happening. I am dying. I am dying. So the younger one said, no, no, you take me seriously. I'm going to die. The older boy opened his eyes and looked at his brother. Gulnaz looked at both of them. The little boy was silent. His face was darker, lips were dry and parched. Parched is when you have that skin coming off. Okay, his bloodless skin faded and hollow. Finally Gulnaz beckoned is called. So she called the older boy, and they left the room and they went to talk outside, because the older boy also saw that the condition of the younger boy was very serious. We must go to Bodos the grocer. Okay, Bodos was the name of the grocer. We must ask for rice, flour and potatoes. Tell him we will pay him in a few days. The boy's shabby coat is dirty coat, was not heavy enough to keep the cold outside. So the older boy agreed to go to the grocer. But his coat was a very thin one, and it was very cold outside. He had no strength in his legs because he had not eaten food, and had to steady himself. He would have to support himself against the walls as he walked. Finally, he reached the store on the hill, and he entered the warm room. He waited until all the customers had left, so that he can talk to the grocer in private and he can ask for credit. And he also wanted to be in the warmth a little longer because it was very cold outside the shop. Then he left his place by the fireside and ordered 1 pound of rice, 1 pound of flour, and 1 pound of potatoes. He put his hands in his pocket as if searching for money, but then he pretended as if he left his wallet at home. Oh, I seem to have forgotten the money at home. I would hate to have to go all the way home in this cold and come back. Write down and I'll pay you tomorrow. So he tried to tell the grocer that, see, today I forgot to bring money. You write this all down on credit and I'll pay you tomorrow. But the trader was also a very cunning person. He knew that the boy didn't have any money. It was a brave effort, but the grocer knew the tricks of the trade too well. First, bring the money, then you take the goods. You have become so thin. Someone who has money at home doesn't get so thin. Now, the grocer was very intelligent. He said that by looking at your structure, that you're so thin, if you had money in your home, you wouldn't be so thin, so I don't trust you. The boy hurried out, embarrassed, ashamed to have his lie found out. Now he knew that the grocer had discovered that he was lying, so he was ashamed, so he left the shop. He found the iciness of the street more unbearable than he had before he entered the store, and when he came out of the warm store into the cold, it was even more colder. At the corner, he saw smoke coming out of the chimney of the White House. Okay, so when he was going back to his house, he saw the White House and he saw the smoke coming out of the chimney. How happy were the people who lived in it! It did not occur to him to be jealous of them. He had only admiration for these people who had given him the best meal of his life. So he looked at the chimney and he thought that these people were so lucky to have such a good lifestyle. He wasn't jealous for them, he only admired them because they were the people who had provided him with the best food of his life. He walked home as fast as he could, his teeth chattering. Chattering is when the teeth make sound because you are shivering. There was no need to say anything to his mother and brother. His empty hands told their story. He took off his clothes, went to his mother, and when he spoke, he said, I am cold, I am cold. The blanket rose and fell on his trembling body, and he started shivering. Gulnaz piled on him is kept on him. Whatever cloth she could find, she kept on the boy. The trembling lasted for nearly 2 hours. For 2 hours, the poor boy, he kept on shivering with cold. Then came the fever and the exhaustion. And then he had high fever and he was exhausted, tired. The boy lay on his back motionless without moving, his eyes staring vacantly, and he was just looking ahead. Okay? Gulnaz lifted the covers and tried to cool the burning body with her cold hands. Okay, so Gulnaz, she tried to bring down the temperature of the child by putting her cold hands on his body. She paced through the house till evening, desperate, and she kept on moving in the house, desperate, thinking what she can do somehow to bring money in the house. She did not know what to do, she could not think. The sun went down. Okay, it was again night. She noticed the small piles of cover she had taken off the boy's body. Wouldn't there be anybody to give some money for all that? Okay, so she looked at the pile of clothes on the body of the boy and she thought, if I sell these clothes, won't someone give me some money? She remembered that her neighbors had talked of a junk store where they bought used things, but it must be closed. Then she thought about the kapadi. Junk store is the kabadi wala. So she thought about the junk store, that I will go there and I will sell these clothes. Okay, but at that time in the night, even that store was closed. So she would have to wait till the morning. With this decision came peace of mind. So now she had peace of mind because she knew what next action she had to take. And she stopped pacing. Pacing is moving fast up and down the room. So she stopped pacing the room and sat down by her son's bedside. The boy's fever had increased. She sat staring, motionless. She kept looking at the elder boy. The younger boy, who could not sleep for hunger, he too was watching, his eyes open. The sick boy moaned. Moaned is when you make a sound as if you are being tortured. So he moaned slowly and tossed and turned in his fever. His cheeks were burning. They were very burning. Why? Because he had a high fever. And he talked in delirium. Delirium is confusion. He had so high fever that he talked in confusion. The younger one sat up in his bed and asked in a voice audible only to his mother. So he asked in a voice that only his mother could hear. Mother, will my brother die? Okay, so the question he asked was that will the elder brother die? She shivered as if touched by cold wind on her skin. She looked at her son with frightened eyes. Now even Gulnaz was frightened. She didn't know what would happen in the morning. Maybe the son would die. So she said, "Why do you ask that?" The little boy was silent for a moment. Then he leaned close to her ear and said softly, trying to hide his voice from his brother. Now, this little boy, he said something in his mother's ear, which is the satire in the story, that hunger can drive you to any level. And what he said was, because if the brother dies, then food will again come from the White House. Okay, so now hunger had taken the better of them. The younger boy was no longer worried about the elder one, he only was worried about the hunger pangs in his stomach, and he said that if the elder boy dies, at least food will come from the White House and they'll have something to eat. I hope you have understood the chapter. Please complete the question answers on the back of the chapter, and if you have any problem, then let me know so that we can arrange a Zoom class for it. Okay then, bye.